Hey, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? I want to talk today about stocking food. Now's the time you need to be doing it for a couple of reasons, and I'll explain it to you. Welcome to everybody, especially welcome to the new folks we've got. We've had a lot of new people joining lately, both on the YouTube channel and on the Patreon channel. It's great to have you. Go grab yourself a hot cup of coffee or whatever you prefer, hopefully in a Stonemont mug, and let's talk about food. Food, of course, is one of the foundational legs of preparedness, along with water and shelter and all that. We don't talk about water quite as much, although it's really primarily important because it's usually easier to get and process. Food is different in that you either have to grow it or buy it. And it's a process, if you grow it. Most of the people now at this time of year, let's see, what is this? This is October 6th of 23. So most of the people who grow their own food are pretty much coming to the end of their canning processes. Some may not be done, depends on where you live in the country or in the world, I guess. But canning the excess, what they didn't eat, and they'll hope that they've canned enough to make it through the winter. Of course, today it's not like in the old days where our great grandparents pretty much had to can everything that they were going to need, because nowadays, hopefully, while things are still going, you can go to the store and buy a little bit more. But many people are getting to the end of their season, so they're canning and stocking up. Other people who don't grow all of their own foods, you need to buy it, and you need to. Well, I was going to go into several different reasons, but if I need to explain that, that's I think that's unnecessary. And now is the time to do it. I want to say that I'm going to tell you a couple things that might surprise you here. But I've put up over on the Patreon channel. The link is down below. If you're not with us over there yet, one of my very first videos that actually at the time was called, and this was like 4 years ago, I think I put it up. At the time was called The Next Step, and I've retitled it Stocking Food. It's no longer available on the YouTube, but I occasionally, every now and then, maybe once a year, I'll put it up over on the Patreon channel for newer people. I go through the entire, a fairly complete, showing the different foods that I stock, and a fairly complete explanation of all of them. I explained that survival food is, to me, not what you buy in 25-gallon buckets. It's good for 25 years. I get my survival food at the grocery store. It looks amazingly like food that you eat on a normal basis, because it is. So I go into quite a bit of explanation on that. So if you want that, that's going to be on the Patreon channel. Now, we're coming into one of the most dangerous times of year, and that's wintertime. If there were going to be an attack on our grid, on our country, any saying, yeah, that's morning traffic. If there were going to be an attack, if I were going to attack our country, probably you too, I'd do it about this time of year, maybe a month from now, when it starts getting really cold. By the way, it's getting chilly here. I know people are going to ask. It's getting chilly here in eastern Kansas. It's fairly early in the morning, not daybreak, but it's fairly early in the morning. So as you can see, I'm dressed for it. And every time I switch hats, I'll have people ask me about it. And I'll say, well, when do you switch your hats? And the people have heard that don't worry, we're going to get back to food in a second. But I know people are interested in this. You've heard all these rules about, well, you wear your straw hat between Memorial Day and Labor Day, or this or that, and whatever. Like it's, I wear a straw hat when it's hot, and I wear a felt or a wool hat when it's cool. This is a wool hat. Fairly inexpensive, because people are interested in this. Fairly inexpensive, and not like one of the $500 or $1,000 felt hats, but it's warm. And the reason you wear a hat, of course, is protect yourself from the sun or the rain or the snow or whatever. I prefer, sometimes I wear caps, but a hat serves a lot more function than a cap does. It protects your neck and your face, and if you're wearing a cap and it's running, well, the rain's either coming down your face or your neck, right? And if I walk in the rain in a hat, it's not coming down anything. It's hitting the hat and coming off. So that's why I like hats. The reason that you wear a straw hat in the warmer on the warmer days is because it actually helps cool you, and the height of the crown, the higher the crown, and the more, if you'll look at some hats, I know many of you aren't interested in this, but some of you are. We'll get back to food in a second. At the height of the crown, you'll notice that many of them, there are perforations around there, and that allows airflow up there, and it actually keeps you cooler. And of course, a wool hat or a felt hat keeps you warm. It really does keep you warm. So anyway, that's so much. I knew I was going to have questions on that, so much of the hats. So back to if there were going to be an attack on our country, if you were going to do it, if I were going to do it, I think that most of us would do it at this time of year, right as we're coming into the cold season. Most people don't garden. Most people, if you do garden, it's too late to put in another garden. If everything crashes. And a very small percentage of people in our country, to be honest, are preppers. And so any enemy knows that this would be the time of year. So it's harder to stay warm and harder to feed yourself. This would be the time that would be the best time to cripple our country or any country. So that's why I always view this time of year as approaching the most dangerous time of year, and this is when you want to make sure that you're stocking up. Now, another reason that this is a good time of year to stock up, and I mentioned this obliquely in a previous one, was that now the grocery stores are coming to the time of year where they're putting on a lot of sales. They're getting ready for the holidays. Halloween candies out there. I don't suggest stocking up on Halloween candies, but after Halloween, it's all going to go on sale. If you want to, stock some of that for the kids or your future happiness, go ahead. Of course, there's not going to be a lot of dentists around after the grid goes down, so you might want to keep the candy to a minimum. But they're going to have a lot of sales and getting ready for the holidays. I mentioned the other day that my grocery store here had canned goods, green beans and corn and things like that. 3 for $1. That's 33 cents a can. You can't get much better than that. And over on the one that I've just put up again on Patreon, I go through all of the things exactly that I suggest that you stock. Going to hit on a few here. So when they'll put limits on this. So they had that. They had what they have. Oh gosh, they had eggs for 99 cents. And there are a lot of people. Now I don't stock. I don't store eggs. A lot of people store eggs, and there's ways to do that. I think there's plenty of videos on that, YouTube videos. What else they had? Pasta. They had pasta for 88 cents a pound. All these things. These are excellent things to to stock up on, and that's why this is going to be a good time of year. As we're getting into the chili season, a lot of them are going to be putting their chili beans and other beans on sale. This is the time that you're going to find the best sales of the year. Ground beef, $2.98 a pound. If you got a freezer, stock that freezer, because protein is one of the most important things for you to stock. And a lot of people, when people get into preparedness, what they hear a lot, and one of the first things they do, they're always talking about rice and beans. Okay, and it's a good way to stock a lot of calories, a lot of carbohydrates. Now, there are many reasons that this isn't exactly how you want to do it. I'm going to get some arguments on there. I'm going to get some people coming on. But rice and beans make a complete protein. Okay, you've heard that, and you understand it to a degree. But there's much more to it than that I cover on Patreon. Why do I keep that just on Patreon? I'll be honest with you, because we have a deeper level of understanding and knowledge on the Patreon channel, and it's really full of people who either know what they're talking about or want to learn. YouTube is much different. It just, you just get so many silly comments from people who think they know so much more than they do. And those of us who don't like to deal with it spend too much of our time weeding those comments out of the comment section so they won't mislead other people. But protein is what you want to concentrate a lot more than most people do on protein. And while to an extent rice and beans can create a complete protein, it's a plant-based protein, not as good as an animal-based protein. I don't care what you say. I know this is a standard spiel in the preparedness business, but just because it's been said a million times doesn't make it right. Okay, do your own research and you'll find that I'm right. So you want to concentrate on animal protein. Okay, so if you get your freezer stocked as much as you can on that, because that's going to do you well if you need it. Soaking up the carbohydrates is, while I can pack in the calories, there's calories and then there's calories, and also there's other things that I'm going to be putting over on the Patreon channel that it's not all about calories. I know you've heard that it's all about calories. It's not. It's not. So pack in the protein. Now, when it comes back to rice, I'm going to give you a word of warning on rice. I know that rice is one of the staples of preparedness food storage. Okay, and I stock some rice. I don't stock near as much rice as I do pasta. Why is that? Rice will keep for a long time, right? Rice will keep for a long time, just in the bag you buy it in. It'll keep for a lot longer if you put it in Mylar bags and store it and everything like that. So will pasta. The thing about why I prefer pastas is it has protein in it. Rice doesn't. Oh, does rice have just an infinitesimal bit of protein? Maybe not. But pasta does. So you have a protein there. Even though it's a plant-based protein, it's a protein. The reason that I steer people away from rice, even though it's easily stored and it's better to eat something that may not be that good for you rather than starve, right? And that's why I should have said earlier when I was talking about buying canned goods. I mentioned this in a previous one, and somebody came on and said, but those things are all GMO. Well, okay, when you're starving, you are going to be far less concerned about what's GMO and what's not GMO than you are now. Okay, simple as that. This is about, stocking survival food. It is not about, getting out what you would prefer to have on a daily basis now. It's about staying alive. And now somebody else is going to come in and say, but you should You should stock what you eat and eat what you stock. Yes, that's right. However, I stock a lot of things that I don't necessarily eat on a daily basis, and this is the reason for it. I stock a lot of canned vegetables. I stock a lot of canned beans, and I do canned beans, instead of dry beans for the most part, because when you use dry beans, it needs a lot of water to process dry beans, and when the grid's down, getting water is not going to be as easy as it is now. You can't turn on the tap and get your water, okay? You should have a lot of water stored, yes, but there's a finite amount for the most part, unless you live on a property with live water and wells and everything like that, and then you're good. But if you don't, for those of you who don't, processing dry beans takes a lot of water and a lot of time. Beans in the cans, man, you open that thing up, it's water's already there, it's already ready to go, it's ready to throw in the pot with your meat and everything else and some vegetables and make a nice chili. The water's already there. So see, when you're stocking canned goods, you're actually stocking water along with it. Keep that in mind. Here's the thing about rice, and most people don't realize this. Rice uptakes arsenic from soil and water far more than any other grain. Now, arsenic, you want to be eating a bunch of arsenic? I used to stock a lot of rice until I learned this. See, that's another thing about preparedness. We're always learning. Don't be stuck in the thing that you've heard over and over and over, and then when you hear some new evidence that indicates that may not be right, don't refuse to consider it. I'm not saying immediately believe it, but do your homework and consider it. And I did, and as a matter of fact, it was Kelly who told me about this some years ago. She says, rice uptakes arsenic. I wasn't aware of that, and so it does. And there are ways that you can mitigate to a certain extent how much arsenic remains in the rice that you may eat, but that takes time also, and that takes a lot of water. Okay, so I do not suggest rice as a preferred long-term survival storage food. I much prefer pasta. Now, how much food, and everybody wants to know this, how much food should you stock? Everybody has a slightly different answer on this. I'm going to say as much as you can, but I'm going to give my answer here in just a second. Some will say 6 months. I think the government says 3 months, something like that. You want to believe the government? Excuse me while I take a sip from my Stone. Did I tell you can get the Stonemont mugs off our website, stonemont.us? The link is down below. Same place you get my books. By the way, I should have said this. Same place you can get the Stonemont series, my books. And I just got done reading. I just completed the Audible of the first book, The Reversion, and it's available on the Patreon channel at the Stonemont level. That's the second level. It's cost you $5 a month, but people really enjoyed it. I didn't think I did that great a job, to be honest, and I'm going to get better when I start the second book, but people said I did fine, so they've enjoyed it, so I'm glad of that. Thank you all for that gave me your feedback on that. But the Stonemont series, you can get this through the Stonemont website too. The link is down below, and when you order it, it says, would you like Steve to sign your books, and what would you like him to say? And I love doing it because I love my relationship with my readers. It's the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. And somebody says, but you only held up 5 books and you read 6 books. We are completely out of the revival. We've sold out again, but waiting for the new shipment. Should be here sometime next week. So that's why I just have 5, but I held these up so you can see it. One of the first things that Jim Wyatt does in the reversion, when he gets home, he's caught away from home, he makes it home. I go into detailed explanation about that. One of the things that he does as soon as he gets home is he starts tilling up another 4 acres. Everything crashed in May or early spring, And so he was able to get in and start tilling a much larger garden, adding 4 acres to their food production. This time of year, we're not, we don't have that ability to just say, well, I'm going to do 4 more acres. And most people don't have 4 acres to go out there and till, right? But I put that in because that's the important. One of the first things you want to think about is having enough food. Okay, that was a little aside. Let me get back to how much food should you stock. Okay, government says 3 months, 6 months, whatever like that. Some people will say 6 months, some people say a year. I say 7 years. Why do I say 7 years? It's biblical. I figure, why not, right? If you go through, we've seen times in our recent history where we had several years of pretty bad drought. There were several years that my gardens did not do that well. And my fruit trees and all that. This year they did great. But you want to be able, the purpose of stored food is to keep you alive until or during those times that you're not raising enough food to feed yourself. And that means taking care of everything. So that's the purpose of stored food. So, it's some people will say, well, that's impossible to do 7 years. Well, no, it's not. No, it's not. And, I would take you back, the one that I did yesterday about positive prepping versus negative prepping. It didn't get a lot of views, and it's not going to, because it wasn't about, horrendous stuff, but it was very important. And there are too many people that immediately will say, well, that can't be done, or that does, I can't do whatever. What that means is they're not willing to put in the work to do it. But if you are serious about this, I would suggest that you work toward that goal. And can it be done? Yes, it can be done. But it may be, for whatever reason, if you can't do 7 years, do what you can. Do a year, do 2 years. Realize that if everything comes down like in my books, if a CME hits, or if they take down our grids, we're out of luck for longer than you're going to be able to stay alive to see the end of it, unless you have taken those steps to prepare to feed yourself, defend yourself, shelter yourself, all of those things. So think about that. Do whatever you can. This is the time a lot of food is going to be on sale. It's going to be on sale through Christmas. And get out there and grab it. The way to stock food is to buy what's on sale. Don't go out and buy a bunch of food. I know the other thing that was that somebody made a comment on. One of the things that my grocery store had on sale was Campbell's Chunky Soup, which is their type of Progresso, and somebody came on and said, but that's all GMO, that's all okay, here again, go back to, are you going to say, you can tell your kids, well, I'm sorry, kid, I can't let you have this, I know you're starving to death, but this has GMO in it, better you die in a few weeks, of starvation than have GMO in you for years. So that's silliness. There are just so many silly attitudes in the preparedness world. It's amazing. When the world falls apart, when the world crashes, it's about survival. It's not about doing things perfectly. It's about surviving. I mean, when a person gets hungry enough, they'll eat stuff that would make them gag when, in better times. So stay away from these silly arguments, because they are. So think about that. This is the time to stock food. We're coming upon what I always consider to be the most dangerous time of the year. This is the time to tighten up everything. Make sure that you have stored fuel. Always keep your vehicles towards the top, towards full. I don't even say above half a tank, towards full. Make sure your propane tanks are full and you got plenty of them, or what's plenty. Just have however many you can. Have alternate ways to stay warm and to stay fit. And stocking food is is one of the most important things, and now is the time to do it. Okay, so I'll be interested to, for the newer people, read the comments later on when you get done reading, watching this. We have a lot of smart people in our community, and they will give advice. They'll say what they've done about this. Read those comments, and especially if you're over on Patreon. And if you're not, I do suggest you come over there. It's only $1 a month, and the people over there are great in sharing their experiences and sharing their knowledge, both in the comment section and in the member posts area. We have a lot of good information over there about solar, about all the technical stuff. A lot of things that I don't get into. We have some very bright people over there that get into that very deeply, and I enjoy watching it. And I learn things, and so can you. So if you're not with us on Patreon, love to have you. The link's down below. Keep that in mind. And remember that you're going to live tomorrow. As we always say, prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And preparing well, that's the thing, because you don't want to just be scraping by, okay? Live well tomorrow. You're going to live tomorrow exactly the result of how well you've prepared now, right? So do the best you can. Get out there and approach it positively, not negatively, not out of fear, but out of a sense of responsibility for making your life better. And remember, the Stonemont series is available on our website, stonemont.us. And if you haven't read them, people have been learning from these since 2017. We have people who have read through the whole series 6 times and say that they're still finding stuff that they missed the first 5 times. That makes me feel good. But if you want to get them autographed from me, the way to do it, you can get them on Amazon, but I don't get to sign them for you then. And if you want them signed by me, which I love to do, like I say, get them through our website, stonemont.us. So over there, the books, the mugs, the t-shirts. If you're not a Stonemonter, come be a Stonemonter. We'd love to have you, and I think you'd enjoy doing it. So you all have a good day, and get out there and do something. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.